I'm afraid of it being a lot of like Michael B. Jordan lookalike jump out scares. And I love me some Michael B. Jordan, but I don't want that in my Halloween Horror Nights haunted house. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the HHN Graveyard Show. In this episode, we are going to get back to some of our speculation with some of our games that we've done before. We're also going to talk about HHN 20, which was the anniversary year before 25, which we talked about a month or so ago at this point. But of course, I'm not the only host here. The other host is joining me, Billy. SixBillium, how's it going?
Always fantastic when I get to see you, Josh. Even though this time it's not in person, but that's okay.
Hey, that's okay. That's all right. It's going to be in person in August and September. So
yeah, I know. We're almost less than 3 months.
I can't believe
That's crazy to think about.
I can't believe it. We say it every time, but
yeah,
it just
I know.
keeps getting closer. But yeah, that's okay. So before we get started, let's talk about some social media where you can find us. So as far as me, I am HHN Graveyard just about everywhere: Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, obviously Instagram, just about everywhere. I need to start getting back to posting. I was doing very good about it for a while, and then I just kind of lost it. But got to get back to it. As far as Billy, where can people find you, Billy?
Right now, just on YouTube, at least consistently. I do have X, Instagram. I need to start getting back on the grind for that and posting more. Yeah, I'm not good at social media in my personal life either, but hey, I could start Twitter beef with John Murdy, so maybe that's a respectable life goal that I should get to before the HHN season starts.
It generates clicks, so that's what we're going for, right?
Right, exactly.
But
I won't be one of those guys, just some fun.
Right. But yeah, okay, so after we've done our social media little plugs, let's jump into our speculation the same way that we've done it before. So we're going to play our little game, buy or sell. So just a brief introduction or a brief reintroduction about the rules. We are going to give little introductions for some of the things we're going to talk about, and then we're going to ask yes or no questions, buy or sell questions of whether we buy or sell the premise. We're going to do 5 or 6 of those questions, and then at the end, we're going to pick one of those questions that we're the most confident about to lock in, air quoting if you can't see this. And then at the end of the entire speculation season, once the events are over, we're going to go through, tally up all of our locked in questions. And then the winner is, there's no prize yet, but bragging rights is 100% worth it. Yeah, I think that's a quick intro to the rules. Ready to get going, Billy?
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of development since the last time we did one of these, so let's get into it.
Yeah, why don't you give a little introduction about the biggest news over the last 3 or so weeks since we got started, or since we did it last?
We've got a house reveal. Well, I guess that's not as big of news since it's number 2 for the year, but Sinners is announced. We've got our first our IP headliner, and I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it, but we're going to talk about that in this episode.
Right, and we have the actually the intro from the marketing email that they sent out. So here it is. The terrifying Halloween Horror Nights house will transport guests back in time to the popular Club Juke, where they will quickly realize that nothing is as it seems when nefarious red-eyed vampires Remick, Bert, and Joan appear with their insatiable hunger. As they attempt to evade the vampires at every turn, fans will encounter some of their favorite characters lifted straight from the film, including Sammy, Mary, Perline, and Cornbread. Caught in the deadly struggle between twins Smoke and Stack and the bloodthirsty vampires, guests must survive the night because the terror will only relent once the sun rises. So, as far as more information goes, we do know that Hollywood is in Ube, in the year-round old Walking Dead venue, right?
Yes.
And then we aren't confirmed about Orlando yet, but the rumors have it back in the new tents, right?
Yep, it's been bouncing back and forth between tent 3 and 4, going back and forth between maps, but theoretically one of those locations.
Right. Okay, jumping into our first buy and sell question. Billy, you lead off, buy or sell. Sinners as a movie is a good match for an HHN style haunted house. Do you buy or do you sell that? And we'll have about 60 seconds for each response starting right now.
If you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I probably would have sold it, but I'm going to buy it this time. I think that HHN on both coasts has started to evolve, and the way that they have done their houses has changed ever so subtly. But I think we're moving in the right direction towards storytelling. Besides the obvious shared themes, the Darkest Deal is a haunt where very short, but a lot was accomplished storytelling wise and cinematically in such a short amount of time. And I think that if they follow that path, they could do Sinners justice. Not the Fallout path where it's just smoke and stack popping out, going okie dokie the entire time.
Oh, let's hope not. All right. Okay, so Billy is a buy. Now it is up to me. My time starts right now. I'm gonna sell. So Horror has in the past done some of these like one room style houses, like The Exorcist is the first to mind, but the movie didn't feel like a traditional horror movie to me. I mean, when we got like bits and pieces of the vampires through the first, half of the movie, we didn't even really see them until like halfway through. A lot of it was kind of more like actiony, like the famous like dancing singing scene was super cool cinematically, but like, I mean, I don't know, is it really going to translate well? I'm afraid of it being a lot of like Michael B. Jordan lookalike jump out scares, and I love me some Michael B. Jordan, but I don't want that in my Halloween Horror Nights haunted house. So because there is a lack of varied villains or monsters or anything, I'm gonna have to sell this one.
The optimist and the realist.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong, obviously, but that's okay. Okay, you want to introduce our next question?
Yes, of course. All right, Josh. Buy or sell. Orlando will have the superior Sinner's house this year.
As your resident Hollywood lover, I'm gonna sell this one as well. I think that we've talked about Hollywood strengths in the past, and I think Hollywood strengths really lie in their actors. And I think that because this is really going to be a character-driven house, that the theming isn't going to be super great. I don't think there's going to be some like crazy massive facade that Orlando is going to do so much better than Hollywood. I think it's really going to be made or broken by the actors, and I'm much more confident about Hollywood being able to pull some of this stuff off than I am in Orlando. Honestly, I kind of get the vibe of Us from this movie. And I thought that, I mean, I don't know if this is unpopular or popular opinion. I thought Us was fantastic in Hollywood. It was good in Orlando, but it's one of my like favorite houses of all time in Hollywood. And so I'm gonna sell it. I think Hollywood is going to be better.
I am also going to sell it. I think Hollywood is going to be better. I'm a little bit worried because the Ube venue, I don't remember ever having any haunt. Well, I guess Evil Dead, not Burn. Evil Dead Rise was a decently long haunt, but Fallout was short, which I am worried about potentially befalling Sinners. I know somewhere there was a John Murdy tweet where he said that they were doing completely brand new things they'd never done before with this haunt, and it didn't sound just like your typical marketing, hype. I don't know what direction they're taking, but I'm intrigued. And just like you said, Josh, Hollywood's strength is its actors. Hollywood's strength is generally its IPs. I think this is a perfect storm for them to really create something unforgettable. The impact that I think most people saw for WWE in Orlando last year, I think that's what we get for Sinners this year in Hollywood.
Love it. Makes sense to me. Yeah. Cool. Wow, we're matched on this one. We love
Woo!
Hollywood. This is a Hollywood podcast after all. We don't like Orlando here. We're big Murdy fans.
And we love knots. Don't forget about that.
Let's not get too crazy here. But all right. So that is going to wrap up our little discussion of Sinners. We'll have a more dedicated like hype episode of some sort, and we'll talk a lot more in detail about a lot of these houses. But we'll move on. We are going to go to the new speculation map. So the Horror Night Nightmares, big speculation account, the speculation account, released a new spec map this year. Billy, do you want to run through just a handful of the small differences? It wasn't a massive difference
I'm trying to
from
even
map to
remember what
map.
they were. I know one of them was that Evil Dead Burn is no longer theoretically rumored for Hollywood. It's just an Orlando rumor at this point. Hollywood, we saw Jack and Hollywood Harry make it
Mhm.
onto the spec map officially this time. Because I think it was just Jack and Jack. I think it was one or the other before. Um,
Yeah.
we've got Hellraiser back. I know Hellraiser at one point was up in the air. What else did we get on this new spec map? Carrie Sue still there.
Some
Some alien
changes.
spaceship.
Yeah, the BuzzCon logo got replaced with just a DNA strand. So
Oh
like
yes,
maybe
that's
still BuzzCon, maybe Vanity Ball, still kind of up in the air.
right. We got the new, as I
Scarezones.
say, Scare Zone. Yep, we got Hollywood potentially caretaker and
Caretaker. Oh, that's gonna
ooh,
be exciting. Right.
not as exciting as Fort Nightmares or New York Clowns, but certainly close, right?
New York Clowns, I could work with that one. Fortnite, we'll see. Not optimistic. But yeah, I mean, I am glad to see the
Oh,
caretaker.
and no Nightmare Fuel. I can't remember if they were on the map
I
before.
don't think so, but how did you
But
find that out?
oh well, I did see somewhere posted on the internet that the Fuel Girls have been confirmed to appear on some tour that is going to take place across the U.S. and the U.K. during the time period of HHN. So that seems to be potentially a nail in the coffin. Um, Not a fiction. Reflected on the spec map as well, with us having Jack in the Boxes or podiums or some type of cube objects instead of the Nightmare Fuel teaser. But I mean, real quick aside, it's been 5 years. 5 years seems kind of to be the golden number for HHN. 5 years of The Walking Dead, and it was out the door. 5 years of Nightmare Fuel. 5 years of Rocky Horror, I believe. See, HHN, unless you're Bill and Ted, it doesn't seem that you make it much past 5 iterations. Universal Monsters, forgot to mention that one as well, ending with Eternal Bloodlines.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was time. I think
Yeah.
most people agree with that. It was time. But let's move into our buy and sell.
Yes.
Billy, he's going to start with this one. Billy, do you buy or sell? Evil Dead Burn will be an Orlando exclusive this year.
I think I'll buy it. I don't really have anything to base that off of, but Hollywood got their kind of bonus IP exclusive, I guess if you want to call it, when they had the weekend for a second time, and Orlando decided to bypass it. We got Evil Dead Rise 2 years ago, 4 years ago at Hollywood, after COVID era kind of messed everything up, or that was after the release date got pushed back for it, so it got
Mhm.
pulled theoretically at both coasts. So I can see Hollywood moving away from it because they've already kind of done one, but I can see Orlando wanting to do it. We had Terrifier as the really extreme gory house last year, and I think if we want to continue that trend of showing that Orlando isn't going to be getting any tamer, I think Evil Dead Burn is just a spot on, going to be a gory good time, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
What about
Um,
you? Buying or
yeah.
selling?
I'm gonna sell this one, I think. I mean, when was the last time that Orlando had an exclusive intellectual property that Hollywood did not have? That is, it's like like remake of or the redo of the Hollywood event.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's been pre 2006.
right, right. So it just seems like Hollywood is always going to be a superset of Orlando's IPs. Maybe this year is the first year, but I'm gonna go with the like historical trend. So I'm gonna go ahead and sell this one and say that it's not gonna be an Orlando exclusive. That Hollywood will end up getting it, or Orlando won't get it. One of the two. But either way, Orlando's not gonna have it, and Hollywood won't have it. if Orlando has it, Hollywood will have it, and vice versa.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. A little awkward way to say it, but that's okay. Okay, cool. Now, Billy, you lead this one in.
So, Josh, buy or sell? You're more excited for this year after the latest spec map than you were from the previous spec map.
Right. Okay, so going for Hollywood, Hollywood's about the same. I can't say I was particularly excited about Evil Dead Burn. That seems like it was one of the biggest changes between the spec maps, but I could be wrong about that one. Moving to Orlando, I think I am significantly more excited for Orlando this year after this new map release. Specifically, I am kind of tired of BuzzCon. Like we've had like so much BuzzCon over the last like 3 or 4 years. Like give it a little bit of a rest. And I'm so excited to see Banny Ball, which is my number one scare zone of all time, come back at maybe into the fray. So I think the originals just as a whole look so good. We're seeing more icon and like older character representation than we were before, at least in the old spec maps. So yeah, I think I am much more excited, especially for Orlando after this new release of the spec map than I was before. Billy, how about you?
I think I'm also gonna buy it. I don't follow I don't follow the spec maps too closely. I enjoy having the discussion. I enjoy talking about what we could see. I enjoy doing these podcasts. But at the end of the day, the event is already made. It's out of my hands, and I'm a very busy man. Procrastinates a lot more than he should, and is trying to do a lot better. And I need to focus my energies more on getting things done and less on. I need to focus my energies more on the tangible than the untangible. So I tend to focus less on what could I see at HHN and more on what can I do to kill the time until HHN gets here, if that makes sense. So, the spec maps are blips on my radar and good conversation points, but I don't base a lot of my time, a lot of my excitement around what may or may not be at the event, because I know I'm going to have a good time no matter what. And it's all in the execution. Bad ideas can be good ideas can be bad. But that being said, I kind of am down for a caretaker scare zone, so I'll buy it.
All right, love that. Couple of buys here, I think, which is great. Cool.
Hopefully that didn't sound too jaded.
Just a little bit. You're the jaded one. That's okay.
I guess. Sometimes you gotta be the edgy one.
Yeah, that's not you. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. We are in international. We're at Halloween Horror Nights podcast, which includes international events. I'm keeping my eagle eye on Singapore, and Singapore, as per their Instagram, just announced that they are starting to have auditions at the beginning of June. So it won't be too long before they start releasing some of their house details, which is really exciting. So I wanted to ask Billy one buy or sell question about Singapore.
Yeah.
So. Billy, do you buy or sell that Singapore is going to share an intellectual property with Orlando or Hollywood this year?
It's kind of tough for me to say since I haven't been to the event and I don't know as much as I necessarily should, but you know what? I'm going to buy it. We're especially in the month of May currently, horror landscape in the mainstream is taking over with Backrooms, Obsession. So I think we're potentially on that track where we're going to start seeing a lot more horror in the mainstream. And if we see more horror in the mainstream, it would make sense to naturally that would bleed outside of the United States, and especially for something like Universal, where they have stateside and non-stateside parks. Synergy would be there. I think there's a possibility. What IPs would they share? I don't really know, because there's a lot to take in when you consider that decision, the cultural differences and trends and whatnot. But I certainly think that it's something down the line, something in the pipeline.
Cool. Makes sense. As far as I go, I am I'm on the fence, but I think I'll go ahead and buy it too. So as far as history goes, from my understanding, the only time this has been done is 2019, or 18 for Stranger Things, the first Stranger Things.
Yeah.
and they ended up bringing it back as kind of a season 1 to season 4 kind of mashup last year. It would not shock me to kind of get the finale of Stranger Things in Singapore as well this year. It seemed to draw pretty well. Or I could see I was having a hard time finding the box office numbers for Sinners in Singapore. I don't if it did well there, then maybe that could come to the event as well. Those are the two mostly that I could see coming. But I'll go ahead and give a buy, even though I wouldn't be surprised to have this not happen, given there's not a ton of history. But let's buy it.
Right. It's the worst that could happen.
Right. Okay. For our last buy or sell question, Billy, give me the lead-in.
So, Horror Unleashed announced, well, a lot of things. Their entire pipeline for the... Sorry, I don't know if you could hear the loud motorcycle driving by. Rewind. Horror Unleashed announced their special event pipeline for the next year and a half or so through 2027. And there's a lot of exciting things coming next year, but one of the things that caught our eyes for this year is that they're going to have an IP event this summer. It's an unnamed IP, correct?
Right. Not named.
Or we do not know, just that an IP is coming.
Big IP, allegedly.
Big IP. And then next year we're getting a new haunted house in August. We've got anime horror or something in May.
Valentine's Day event.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. We've got something coming to the Flex Space temporarily next year. So a lot of cool pop-up events. But before we even get to all of those next year, I want to ask you, Josh, do you think this upcoming IP event this summer at Horror Unleashed will be the best special event that they've ever done? Since you've been to all of them, I think, at this point.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, but all two of them.
All two of them. But yes, I think that depending on the intellectual property, this has the potential to be the best one ever. And I think it will. I think we've seen an upward trajectory out of the two. I saw some people talking online about maybe something like Terrifier, which would be fantastic if that were the case. People were talking about maybe Halloween for Michael Myers. I think they figured out with whatever the latest one was, which was the Feaster Bunny. They figured out that people want more than just photo ops. Like, give some photo ops. Krampus was super photo op heavy. That people want more than just photo ops. And I think that they're going to keep learning from what has worked. And I think that they're going to, the IPs are going to draw. They're going to have stronger, like license holders approvals to have to get. So they're going to keep them held to a high standard. I think ultimately, yes, it's going to be much better than it was than a Feaster Bunny, and especially Krampus. How about you, Billy?
I'm buying it. Mostly for the same reasons that you mentioned, but what it boils down to for me is Horror Unleashed doesn't exist if it doesn't continue to grow and it doesn't continue to get better. I would love to say that, HHN, just as a permanent attraction, will always have the draw in Vegas to just keep turning its wheels and keep bringing in the money. But realistically, I don't think it does. And I think these are special events are what's going to not only broaden its reach, but it's also going to get the repeat customers. It's going to be you and me going back every single year instead of just when it's maybe convenient. And I think they have to have good special events to survive. I think they've learned / they know that they can't just do photo ops. They can't just phone something in and call it something to get people in the door. They need to keep pushing the bar of quality. So I'm going to buy it that this is going to be the best one they've done so far.
Yeah, love it. That makes total sense. And I totally agree with you that the special events, the haunted houses are not enough. Just to go through them without changing most normal people. You need to have some new things that's going to keep locals especially coming back. And I think that this is a great way to do it. So good job, good job, Horror Unleashed. Just keep it up.
I'm excited. I'm going to have to make our way there.
Yes.
We'll see if I make it in August, but at least next year for one of the announcements or one of the events. Be there for sure. Not twice.
Good. Cool. Okay. Now the most important part for bragging rights. I'll go first this time. I don't remember if you went first last episode or I did.
I think I did it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go then. Okay, so we're gonna pick one of these to lock in. What am I going to choose? I am gonna say that I think that Hollywood is gonna have the superior Sinner's House this year. For all the same reasons that I talked about earlier, but I'm really confident about this one. I think this one is right up Hollywood's alley. Like Billy mentioned, Ube isn't the best venue. Horror Hotel was good. Evil Dead Rise was good, but not great. I didn't like Fallout at all, although I thought it was better in Hollywood than it was in Orlando. But that's a super low bar. I'm excited about this Sinners thing in Hollywood. So I'm gonna lock that one in. How about you, Billy?
Well, I just wanted to be known that I want to beat you in a competitive way, not just by taking the easy route. So I think I could very easily buy Horror Unleashed having the best event ever, and that would be an easy point. But I think I want to lock in that Sinners as a movie is a good match for an HHN style haunted house. I want to live or die on that sword. I'm putting a lot of my faith in the creative team to do something that they haven't done before, that we haven't seen before. And I either want to be miserably depressed about how wrong I was, or I want to be blown away and I want to be able to rub it in your face and everyone's faces that I won when you doubted.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I guess for mine, we will give me a point if Hollywood is better, and then we will give you a point if we can roughly agree that it was a good match for Horror Nights in a way that maybe I think we can probably agree that Fallout wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Okie
that
dokie.
that would the PTSD. That would be an example of a property that didn't fit if for the sake of this. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that will wrap up our little speculation buy or sell. We're going to move on to the meat of the episode. Thankfully, we have Billy here. We're going to talk about the HHN 20 from 2010 Orlando recap. So this was an anniversary year, which is really important for us because we are going into an anniversary year. We are going to continue our little series of trying to mine the past, learn more about the past, talk about the past, in order to find some things that we think might be taken into the future. So, and since Billy has done this year, Billy, I want you to kind of start off with the overall theme or a kind of a recap. How did the year feel like an anniversary year? How did you think that like a story was told? How were the icons like integrated? We're gonna go into a lot more detail about the houses and scare zones as we go on, but just overall, what did you think?
Yeah. So, preface as well, this was my first HHN Orlando year, and not a lot of media exists of it, so I haven't been able to go back in time. So, my memory is a little bit hazy on some of the specifics, but I do remember quite a lot. I mean, it's my first year. I was so excited to be there. One of the best moments of my life was waiting for the Hallowd Past during Stay and Scream, and there was only like 30 people by the Animal Actor stage for this Stay and Scream. That's how good it used to be back in the day. But as you said, 2010 was an anniversary year. This was the first year that fear was revealed, or fear being revealed was the big talking point of this year, the big teaser up to the event. So personally for me, I think when it comes to a HHN anniversary or any type of Halloween anniversary in general, there's kind of three things that need to be celebrated, and that's the haunts that have come before it, the characters that have come before, and the lore that has come before, which I guess you can kind of put the icons in whichever one of those that you would like. But I truly feel like that 2010 did justice to that. So leading up to the event, this was the warehouse experience back when HHN used to have all those fun online flash games that you could play going into the event. So the commercials would tease Fear's lantern and Fear being revealed from that lantern and unleashing all of the icons and whatnot. And the flash games online actually kind of tied into that warehouse experience, that commercial that would play to the masses, since there wasn't really as much social media at that time. So we got Fear in the flesh in the park. We got him in the scare zone of Fear revealed, along with the other icons up to this point. We got a scare zone that celebrated a scare zone and a house that celebrated the haunts of the past, with 20 Years of Fear, I believe it was. They need to get better at their naming for anniversary years between icons and years in fear and all of that stuff. Yeah, I think it was 20 Years of Fear, not 20 years, 20 fears.
Right.
Anyways,
I think so. 20 Years of Fear.
In Hollywood, where you had, or in the Hollywood street, where it was an outdoor prop warehouse, and then you get the Hallowed Past haunted house, which was in the old parade building, which was an actual quote unquote prop warehouse, the same prop warehouse that was featured in the commercial we were just talking about for the year. And you got to experience basically a tribute store of props and a haunted house in one go. But overall, I don't want to say this was quite the perfect anniversary year, but I think it was very, very good. We talked last time about 2015 and how I gushed over how great the Carnage Returns show was. And while there wasn't any type of icon entertainment this year, 2010, the icons themselves in the Fear Revealed scare zone were not like they were in 2015, where they were on stages doing scripted shows, but they were ad-lib actors just walking around in character, impromptu, doing whatever and talking with you, and that was really cool. So maybe not official entertainment, but an unofficial entertainment selection, so we don't really get the roaming type of actors anymore that can just talk with you for 20 minutes about whatever and do photo ops. It was a good narrative photo op scare zone. I think that's the buzzword to call it, narrative photo op, instead of just your typical walk through, take pictures, and get scared.
Interesting.
But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good year, even all of these years later. I think it stands up. I think it honored the haunts of the past, as I said, through scare zones and sequel haunts, which a few we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. It honored the characters with one very special haunt that is also on the docket to talk about, that kind of resurrected an HHN icon that never actually got to be. And of course, the lore was honored by introducing Fear being revealed from his lantern, Fear being the mastermind of HHN, and quote unquote having pulled the strings of Jack, caretaker, director, storyteller, and the usher for years past at this point. It all felt connected.
Right.
This was also before the era of IPs, so there was only original houses. I know it's such a bummer for some of you listening that you didn't get to go through a Halloween house. I know it's so sad, but
that's the good old days.
The IPs weren't completely gone. I don't remember there being any IP characters outside of the 20 Years scare zone. I think that was the only one that had any IP characters, if I'm not mistaken. Also, putting Chucky in scare zones back in the day should have been illegal with how bad those masks always looked. Even worse in the daylight. Yeah. So that's my perspective from, my first time going to HHN, being a big anniversary year after following the lore online for years and years and years and years, and finally being able to experience. So from your perspective, Josh, as someone who is retroactively kind of experiencing the history of HHN, what are your thoughts?
It looked like, what, 06 is considered like the first anniversary year, right?
Yes.
Generally. This looked like the last pre-modern anniversary year. So like 15 had the special show, or 25, sorry, 2015. 2015 had the Jack show, 2015 had the tribute store, 2015 had a lot of these things, the special icon scare zone that I kind of consider to be like the anniversary year like staples that this one didn't have. This one did have, some of the characters, the scare zone, but it was missing the tribute store, it was missing the icon show. They had Bill and Ted instead.
Yep.
So this one seems interesting. I guess we can use this to segue into the first Horror Nights: The Hallowd Past, the haunted prop warehouse that you talked about. That is one of the most intriguing haunted houses, I think.
Mhm.
Can you tell me more about it? I guess what are some of the bigger like more interesting scenes, and was there how much could you like really like stop and look at all of these props given that it's a haunted house?
All right. So the answer is not too much, but going back to my Stay and Scream story, back in oh god, I can't remember. Back in the day, it used to be, I think, the parade building and the two sprung tents would open for Stay and Scream. Those were the two that would be open from like 5:30 to 6:30, and then everything else would open later. So I remember the first few years I went to HHN just marathoning these houses because there was no line. There was 30 people in Stay and Scream, and they would trickle in. Um, but the Hallowed Past, the best parts of it were the warehouse. What was inside was less impressive and not as cool as things like Jack Presents or even Welcome to Scary. The scenes were kind of very basic, plucked copy paste. Didn't necessarily work as well, but the warehouse was just so cool. Of course, you don't have a facade because you're kind of walking into a warehouse, so
Right.
theming was already done. But I don't think there's many moments that can compare to that first room. Both of the warehouse sections, that bookend the haunt, the beginning and the end, were both essentially just U shapes. Go in, go to the left.
With a bunch of shells,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You're going U shape going through the shelves. So you'd walk around one shelf in the middle, and then you'd have shelves surrounding. There was light bleed, so it was easy to see a lot of the props, luckily. The coolest thing, though, I think, the biggest hype moment was that they had the banners overhead for each event year. So as you're going in, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 20 was right before you would enter the revolving tunnel or the Port Modus or whatever it's called that was theoretically Fear's key into the world. So big eye candy, floor to ceiling shelves of props. Once you're inside, the actual haunt, the scenes, like I said, were less exciting. You had Treeks and Foons, mirror maze style. There was the March Hare getting his guts ripped out from
Which was
Scary Tales.
Yeah, Scary Tales. Okay.
Yep, Scary Tales 2008, I believe.
Mm.
There was 2 rooms for dead exposure, which were very, very basic. You had like 3 dummies. It was literally a straight shot, which was its biggest problem. Is it was just 2 straight rectangle rooms with a few dummies hanging from the ceiling and a few actors, and zombies painted on the wall. So it didn't really do justice to how well the 2008 haunt did. But then you had the SS Fritanic scene, just super cool. You went through the bow or went to the captain's whatever, the control room of the ship. There was a giant projector showing this like ghostly torrential downpour sea behind you, and it didn't look cheap. It didn't look like the Stranger Things 4 projections. I don't know how projections were so much better 20 years ago, 15 years ago, but that was a really cool scene. Body collector's hallway after that. Apparently they wanted to fit a full like body collector scene with the operating theater, but it didn't fit. So they just did the spine rip and some like, the best way I could describe it is Parisian Courtyard Hollywood. How they have that the long hallway to get between the 2 halves essentially. It's kind of like that. But body collectors with bodies. And then you got to the second part of the warehouse, which I have less memories of because it was your adrenaline up at that point, and plus your eyes were adjusting from the dark haunted house to the light bleed of being in the finale room. But this is also where the icons popped out. The first room didn't have any characters in it. It was a true just, walk, absorb it all. This one, the finale, is where you would have rotating characters pop out from the shelves. I think all of the icons, including Cindy and Eddie, appeared at some point. Yeah, it was a cool house. Cool to see all the props. They had the Terra Queen chopper, which we just saw a few months ago.
No,
thinking about that.
Philly.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy to think about that. How many traveled a few different places. But yeah, I think it's important for the haunts and I'm doing the meme face where he's like pointing at the for all of our audio listeners. But I think it's important that anniversary years have enough moments like that where you're like, I remember that. That was so cool. Like, that's awesome. And paying homage to that. And that's essentially what the Hallowd Past was.
Yeah, a link to the past. I guess uh did you like as like a mashup anniversary house, did you like this one or did you like the 2015 Jack Presents more?
Jack Presents 100%. Jack Presents had better scenes for the actual haunts themselves. This one was much more. Jack Presents was a good haunt on its own. This was more of a nostalgia trip with some jump scares sprinkled in to keep it casual. I don't say that disparagingly, but that's kind of the best way I can describe it from the way I feel, or at least for how I feel about it.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Jack seemed longer too.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
Jack's was way
Okay.
longer.
Yeah, Jack looked really good, but this one, the first and the last scene seemed like it was made for nerds like that.
Yeah, it was.
Which
And
makes this one so
for
intriguing.
For that being my first Orlando memory of walking right into the warehouse, like that was better than walking to Disneyland for me. It's like it's real and it's all around me.
All these things that I spent all these years reading about, they're all right here, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. Actually, I'll let you introduce the next haunt because I think I have a good segue into it.
Okay. Yeah. So next we're gonna talk about Cindy Kane, the caretaker's daughter. There's a whole backstory. You should look it up. Essentially, from my understanding, she was supposed to be the icon in '02. Then there were some real life child abductions in the Orlando area, and they decided to give the spotlight to her father. But she finally got her own haunted house in 2010 called the Orphanage, Ashes to Ashes, in the Jaws queue, which is cool. As someone that never did a haunt in the Jaws queue. Um, Tell me more about this haunted house, Billy. I guess how much did Cindy really play a role, since we're kind of talking about these houses in the context of an anniversary year with the icons?
So, Cindy did appear on the online games, the warehouse experience, leading up to this. And I say this because as soon as the house reveal popped up at midnight Eastern time, whenever this was, I went on the Horror Nights Facebook page and posted about this haunt and said, "Oh my God, Cindy Kane finally has her own haunt. It's called the Orphanage," and I just like lore dumped. I'll see if I can find the post and have you edit it into the visual video. But this was less of a, from what I remember, if you go on the wiki, there's like 6 pictures of this haunt that exist. But from what I remember, this was less of a lore haunt and more of just less of a storytelling haunt and more of just a Hatchet and Chain style, just like a slice of action, just really good character experience. I guess this was the icon house of the year, if that makes sense. So picture what Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins was, but less narrative and more just kind of scare based.
Interesting.
Very blacklight heavy, very barn feel because of the Jaws queue. I was trying to think of a way that I could kind of describe the few memories I have of this haunt. And the best way I can kind of describe it is, I hate to bring knots into the equation again, but if you were to kind of combine Origins Curse of Calico with Major Suites, and then also take the glowing mother figures from Graveyard Games, the little thing they had on a pulley, if you kind of throw all of that in a blender, that's kind of what the Orphanage was. You had a lot of these floating ghostly kid apparitions that would pop in the blacklight that was really cool and really creepy. And then, like I said, a lot of writing that would appear on the walls in the blacklight, from what I recall. The end was a little bit weird. I guess this was the story moment, but this was the first and I think only HHN haunt to feature a live fire effect.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot more exciting than it actually was. There was a grate like 5 feet away from you in one of the hallways, and it would do a little flame burst. Cool, but really not anything truly groundbreaking.
They made a big deal about it, didn't they? Like
yeah,
the water effects for the Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna actually say. Is it was about as exciting as the water walkers were. It was. They tried it, and I'm glad they did. But after that, it brought you into the second building or the second part of the Jaws queue for the last two rooms, which were the finale, which was the furnace room where everything was burned down. You got a lot more Cindy in there. I don't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, oh yes, because she was killed theoretically in a fire, a house fire at, why can I not think of Scream House? That's part of her backstory, is that she was tragically killed in a fire. So in the orphanage, she starts the fire in the furnace room or something like that. And the finale is it burning down with all of these kids in it. And then she does her creepy little ghost things as you're leaving. I've heard a lot of people that didn't like this haunt. I really liked it from what I can remember.
Oh, cool. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm surprised that it's a black light house. I guess when I looked at the backstory and stuff, it didn't really seem black lighty to me. I guess I also tend to associate black light more with like 3D haunts,
Yeah,
and this definitely wasn't. So
it was more like flashes of black light, I should say. So like everything would look normal and wood barn feely, but then you would get like the black light strobes that would kind of illuminate the like writing on the wall and like the little hidden subtext. Trying to think of a haunt that's done it recently. I guess kind of like LRTista, like when they would have the strobe or the black light flashes in some of the costumes, and it would make something pop out, or it would make them look. It was like that, or there was a lot of moments like that.
That's a great way to put it, I think.
You could see, basically, you got two different versions of each scene. You got the normal kind of reality, I guess you would want to call it, but then you also kind of got the ghostly version of it. And I don't remember if they did the black light effect when they brought it back, kind of for Welcome to Scary, but the color palette was very similar to that.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. Cool. Let's move on. Yeah, we're a little behind schedule. That's okay. What else is new? Oh yeah, all right. Moving on to PsychoScareapy, Echoes of Shadybrook. So this is another entry in the long-running PsychoScareapy. Number three. Yes, we talked about Recollections, right, in the last one. In 25. So this is the third one. Billy, tell me about this one. Any new lore? Anything interesting here? Yeah.
So I think I would have enjoyed this one more if I had done the previous PsychoScareapy haunts. But essentially, this is the Echoes of Shadybrook. This is Shadybrook after it's been abandoned. All the patients have died, and they're essentially haunting this as ghosts. I do not actually remember liking this haunt that much. Like, it was good, but I remember walking out of it and being like, I've been so excited about all this like HHN lore, and like this is the best they could come up with. Sounds a little more bitter than it actually was, but that's why I say I think if I had seen the evolution of Shadybrook from the first to the chaotic version that they had in 2006 with Jack, to seeing it now dilapidated and empty in 2010, I think I would have appreciated it more. But the vibes that I got just going straight into it as my fifth ever HHN haunt was that it was your typical Cedar Fair asylum haunt, just with some HHN stuff. I mean, they had Old Smoky, Old Sparky, whatever he's called at this point. The electric chair, just like you'd see everywhere else. It was very muted in its color palette, very much concrete walls like Hellblock horror. But again, even with the costuming, all of the actors had grays and light blues because they were supposed to be ghosts. So as far as the theme goes, it was incredibly cohesive and incredibly dedicated to that. It just was not as exciting in execution as it was in concept for me, if that makes sense. As far as, kind of tying into the anniversary aspect, it's a legacy sequel. Thinking about it, only one PsychoScareapy hasn't appeared at an anniversary year, because 2006 was number 2, 2010 was number 3, 2015 was number 4. So I didn't even think about that. There was a Jack the Clown cameo, his little static figure that was in behind some chain link fence, not fence, he was in containment of subtype, and if there was a guest activated trigger. I don't remember if this was the first one they ever did or not, but you like pressed it and then Jack would, or something would light up Jack and you could hear a laugh. But to me, the most intriguing icon that appeared in this haunt was not even an icon. The asylum patient from 2004 that was on a warning.
Yeah.
He appeared as a Pepper's Ghost effect.
Ooh.
But then, well, he would disappear, and then an actual actor portraying him would pop out. So I thought that was a cool little nod. Another non-related, or not related to the anniversary year, but another real cool scene was this giant cell block corridor with just floor-to-ceiling jail doors, but they had fake hands on every single bar, so you couldn't tell who was an actor holding it and was going to reach out and what was just a fake prop hand.
Right.
It was a really cool, real creepy scene.
Interesting.
I think that's pretty much what I've got to say about PsychoScareapy. Like I said, good, not great in my mind, but I would have liked to see how I felt if I had gone through the full evolution. I did also think I was really cool in 2010, and I wore my Horror Night Nightmares shirt through this haunt. And I did remember getting a shout out at the end. And that made me think I was the coolest person in the world. So, Nightmares Forever.
Is it interesting that maybe this was a good anniversary house in that respect? If it was, a fine enough house without, but it was really enhanced by having gone through it in the past. So maybe that's a positive.
Right. And I think with something to also take into consideration is just the saturation of asylum haunts during this time frame. Like,
it was
every event had the crazy asylum, and maybe in the moment I enjoyed it a little bit more than I do looking back on it and having it blend together with.
What were the Cedar Fir ones called?
Valley Scare had the Mangler Asylum. That was my OG. Knott's had the Asylum, and then the Asylum Lockdown when I went in 2009. I don't remember.
Cedar Fir had one called Dr. Demented's Asylum, if I remember right.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, it's 2010. The first thing that you look up, first thing that you see when you look it up is National Alliance on Mental Illness led a protest of a major amusement park special Halloween attraction.
I'm not shocked.
The good old days. It was in the VAC carousel building. Yeah, good times. But cool, interesting. We were running out of time, so Billy, give me. I know that I hate to cut this one short in particular, but give me just a very brief description of Legendary Truth. Maybe a favorite effect or two, maybe a favorite story continuation. What stands out here?
Well, honestly, don't feel too bad about cutting this, because in terms of anniversary, this was kind of Legendary Truth in name and concept only. I didn't really see a lot of connections to the 2008 lore that was like the Bloody Mary stuff that was crazy at this time. This just kind of seemed like a spiritual successor in a sense. Still a very good haunt. Still one of the best haunts that I think they've ever done. We got the ghost in the floorboards, the character that was on a track. In El Artista this year, we got that effect as a
not a person.
Or we got that effect, not a person, right. But back in 2010, it was a person. You got a storyteller cameo in one of the paintings or one of the pictures that was hanging in the one hallway. Really, really cool, just high-tech, quote-unquote, scares throughout, especially for something that was themed to be an old ghost story. There was a character that had roller skates that would have their costume on backwards, so it looked like they were getting pulled by a ghost. That was really cool. There's a lot I could say, but there's not a lot in the context of an anniversary year. But I encourage you to look it up and watch this, because there's a lot of really cool things. The chairs character had everyone on the floor. I'll leave you with that little teaser. The worst part of this haunt was just the part that they didn't finish because the effect didn't work, which is sad, but it happens. And nobody would have known unless you went on that tour.
Right. And yeah, and I guess this house is more of an anniversary house in hindsight with the continued like
Yep.
importance of Legendary Truth than maybe it was at the time. So I kind of put it on there, but because I know that yeah, it was all introduced in '08 and stuff, but it was really more of the start than
Mhm.
it was a continuation, I think.
Yeah, this was
Mhm.
the first time I think Legendary Truth was officially broadcasted to the masses. It
Mm,
wasn't just kind of the for fans thing that you saw
right.
online. If you knew, you knew. This was the first Legendary Truth was like on official website
Right.
marketing and stuff like that. But I mean, hey, it's like you said, it's come back for 2 anniversary haunts in a row now. Welcome to Scary and Jack Presents.
Right,
So
and we continue to get exposition in the Boris Schuster window in
yeah, that's true.
studios too. So yeah, it's become a very integral part of the event when maybe it wasn't meant to be. Mhm.
Yeah, I wish there would have been a more bigger link between the actual characters of
Mm,
Legendary Truth. Because if I remember correctly, this was the Spirit Seekers, which I think was just a bunch of no name
yeah.
background Legendary Truth admins or field agents that defected to start this ghost hunting group, and that's the connection to Legendary Truth, and it kind of stops at that. But hey, they made a hell of a house, so
I will say too, the 2008 Legendary Truth website is super cool, and HHN Graveyard has the best version of it with some secret clues and stuff that you would never find unless you were a mega nerd back in the day. But I decompiled all the flash, did all this super nerdy stuff so that to bring you the best version of the 2008 Legendary Truth. So check it out.
I can confirm because I used it in the latest episode of the countdown, I believe.
Great.
So
Love
can confirm.
it. Okay, cool. Moving on to scare zones. Billy, very briefly, give me so the fear revealed scare zone seems like it was almost more of a photo op over by Mel's, and it seemed like
Yeah,
almost a continuation of the 20 years of fear. Give me a very brief
yeah.
overview of those.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could probably knock both of these out because they essentially were kind of just one big scare zone. You know, you start in the Hollywood Street, you go through the prop warehouse, that has all sorts of various props from HHN Past, has the characters, has some of the IP monsters like good old Chucky, like we mentioned. But that was your more typical, detailed, old school HHN scare zone. And then that would bleed into when you get to Mel's, the Fear Revealed, which instead of having the icons on their stages, they had little vignettes that were on the ground that were essentially the exact same thing. They had their own environments. You had Jack's fortune telling booth, which was an exact replica of what was featured in the 2007 commercial. There was a little, I don't remember exactly what everyone else had. The storyteller had like her little nook library kind of area. The director had something that looked very much like the bathtub kill. It was very much similar to their scares or their 2015 icon stages.
Kind of greatest
And
hits
then
to some
kind
degree.
of a greatest hits. And then at the very edge where the crepe stand is now, where the lagoon is, where the Carnage Return stage was, two big X's for 2020. And that's where Fear and the Lantern minions would roam around. I think there was fire shooting from the X, or maybe I'm just combining that with everything that happens every year in Hollywood. But it was a real cool lead up because you kind of walked through the history of HHN with all the prop warehouses. Then you got to interact with all the icons. And then right at the end of that journey was Fear himself walking around and doing about as much as he did in Icons Capture and lording over everyone. But yeah, it was a fun scare zone. You could, if I had a frequent fear pass back in the day and lived in Florida, that was the definition of somewhere where you would just go to hang out and people watch and interact with the characters. I'm gonna embarrass myself by saying this, but I vividly remember my parents telling me that I needed to take pictures with the icons because I was so excited to be there, and my social anxiety prevented me from it. So I made my dad ask Chance if I could take a picture with her and Jack.
Going straight to Chance, you should have stuck with the storyteller or something. She'd be
Yeah,
less intimidating for a young man.
if it makes you feel better, I don't even think at this point I knew who Chance was. I thought it was just some random clown lady. It's exactly who I was really there for. I'll also have to see for our video followers if I can find the picture of that. I think it's on Facebook. I don't have, if I can find my old cell phones from years and years ago, one of these times in my parents' basement, maybe there will be a gold mine of photos. But for right now, we've got the like 4 that I uploaded for 2016, and that's about it. Yeah, great representation of an anniversary year. He said if you section off a quarter of the streets just to celebrate the past and let 3/4 of the rest of the park do brand new things, I think that's kind of the way to do it. And that's what we saw in 2010.
Right. Seemed like a good like classic anniversary year scare zone. It didn't seem like it had something like super stood out to me. It seemed like it was done similarly in 2015 for 25. As good, not as good, TBD. But it seemed kind of classic. If we see something similar, I would not be upset, I guess.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I liked was that there wasn't that gap from Hollywood to Mel's. It was just this natural long progressed scare zone. It wasn't like now where it's like, all right, now I'm in the kind of Mel's courtyard area going from Masquerade to Cat Lady. It was just a nice long scare zone that never let up and kept the theming. Sorry I sound like a smoker now, apparently.
And I guess it's a little different now that we have this this Mel's die-in zone nearby. I mean, there's not continuation, but there's something there. It's not like a dead zone like it has been in the past.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is we didn't have as many daytime parades back then, so the sets could be more permanent. The sets didn't need to be mobilized. Now everything is mobilized for convenience. They can work on it back of house. It makes sense. But back in the day, they just kind of threw everything on the streets and made them as detailed as inside some of the haunts and just crossed their fingers that it wouldn't blow away.
Right. Yeah, I think that definitely plays a big role in scare zone design, which is super interesting. Cool. And that is going to finish our recap of HHN 20 from 2010. I want to do a larger, like, what do we want to take from previous anniversary years and import into our new one? So I won't ask that question right now. So I think, do you have any like very brief final thoughts about the event?
I don't really think so. I think I kind of mentioned I think I mentioned everything, and I hope everyone got a good feel for what this year was like. Even the haunts that weren't mentioned, later, some of them became staples. Havoc became a series. Havoc Dogs of War originated here. Hades Gates of Ruin was the first haunted house, I think, in any major theme park to be solely based off mythology from any time period. So there was it wasn't just an anniversary year that was doing cool things. The event itself was also trying to do new things outside of what it had already done. Saws and Steam Scare Zone, first Scare Zone that would become a haunted house later on when Saws and Steam Into the Machine came out or was brought to life in 2021 or 2011 for HHN 21. So as cool as it was that they celebrated the past, they also laid the ground for a lot of things that we saw later on in the future as well. So it wasn't just about the past.
And that is a very important thing, I think. I mean, as much as we love the past, I don't want it to be just the past, just fan service. I want to see a blend of let's pay tribute to the past, but also let's try to introduce some new things that sometimes they're going to work, sometimes they're not going to. And it seems like this year maybe balanced it appropriately.
I was going to say, I think if you compare this to what we were talking about last time with 2015, this is the difference. This is the difference in the fan service and the difference in the entire event. We got so many just requels that didn't need to be in 2015, and we didn't have that in 2010. And I'm not going to get into the debate or open the can of worms about, well, you had IPs in 2015 and you didn't have to deal with that in 2010. That's a whole, we don't have time for that in like 3 episodes, but just something to consider.
Right. Cool. I think that's a great way to wrap it up. We're going to finish like we always do. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we've built. Billy, have you made anything in the last couple weeks that you want to plug here?
I think I released the latest episode of the countdown
Yes, check it
since
out.
we've done our last one. It was either right after or right before. I cannot remember. But I'm hard at work on the finale. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have it done before I go on my next little mini trip, as I was hoping. But we're still looking for mid-June at the latest. The series will finally be wrapped up, and do we go from there? We'll see. I'm definitely going to be doing a few different video ideas before the HHN season starts. Not going to tackle any big projects because I'm burnt out on them. But there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon, a lot of different things.
Good. Good. I love that. Yeah, can't wait to see the finale. As far as me, I finally put out that video about Japan that I've been talking about forever. I want to do some more stuff about like photography is really my passion. I spend so much time thinking about cameras. Billy can tell you how much I talk to him about camera gear, and so I want to kind of impart some of that knowledge, all the stuff that I've accumulated, to you all. So expect some videos from me before too long over the next, I don't know, month or so, I think. More about photography and Horror Nights. So yeah.
And that's awesome. That's something that I don't think we see too often. So I'm excited to see you dive into that.
There are lots of
Spearhead.
photographers, but there's not as many like YouTube HHN photographers. It's like niche of a niche of a niche.
Exactly.
But that's okay. Someone's got to do it.
Exactly. Someone's got
Yeah.
it.
It should be interesting, I think. But yeah, that's going to wrap up our episode for the today. We're going to record in hopefully a handful more weeks. Hopefully another, at least one house announcement. Maybe we'll have our originals week before too long in June. But we will be there to report it. So thank you all for tuning in. We will see you later. All right. Bye.
Bye.